Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka Mazuma TV, back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive night. I hope you had a great start to your week, man. I'm back at y'all with some more boxing talk. We're gonna be speaking about Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury being official for the fourth quarter of 2026 and what that can mean for the heavyweight division. We're going to be speaking about Anthony Joshua and his latest opponent. We definitely going to do a deep dive as to who Anthony Joshua's opponent is. Then we're going to be getting into Shakur and Devin Haney in early talks. This rumor is rising yet again. Then, of course, we're going to get into some open boxing topics. But before we get into all of that, y'all can please hit the like button on the way in. That'll be very much appreciated. We on the road to 4K. We well into that 3,400 mark. Might crack that 3,500 mark by tonight. Shout out to the nation, the mob, for making this possible. What's up, y'all? What's up? How we feeling? Shout out to Marissa in the building. What's going on, little sis? How you feeling? Today was a regular day, man. I didn't have my son, but I went to work, went to the gym, came home. Cooked me some good food, and I'm here. You feel what I mean? And yeah, you heard that right. I cooked my own food. You know what I mean? That rent coming up, so you gotta make sure you ain't spending on no dumb stuff, so you can have, some bread to play with after the first of the month. You feel what I'm saying? We definitely got some things to talk about. That's for sure. Let me see. Let me pull this up real quick. I want to make sure everything is right for y'all. All right, we good. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody that's coming through showing love. You know what I mean? We got some things to discuss, man. Josue Hernandez, what up, man? I just pretty much said how my day went, but all in all, it went well, man. I hope everything is well with you and yours. You know what I'm saying? Y'all seen that video of Alicia Baumgartner getting beat up in sparring? Oh my god! And that white girl whooping her ass up and down that ring, man. Oh, I Ooh, I ain't gonna lie, that shit made me laugh, bro. I'm trying to tell y'all, man. Like, I tried to tell y'all, man. Like, it's easy to like whenever you criticize somebody, they get all upset and they come on the live talk about, man, but all female fighters like that, man, but all female fighters like that. I told y'all, Alicia Baumgartner are gonna have real trouble with somebody like Amanda Serrano if she's still at her best. Just considering the fact that she's high and she puts pressure. You know what I mean? She walks forward and she lets her hands go. I tried to tell y'all about Alicia Baumgartner. She has trouble with people who let their hands go. Man, if you got a good work rate, you're gonna give Alicia a lot of trouble because her gas tank is not up to par. You know what I'm saying? So I'll tell y'all something. Slime said right now something that's not being talked about much is Junto versus anyway. Yeah, it's really because like a lot of these, I'm gonna keep it real. A lot of these fans aren't really fans of the sport of boxing overall, man. Because if they was, they would be celebrating this fight because it's one of the biggest, most meaningful fights to make in the sport of boxing. To be honest with you, and it has all the potential to be a banger. But a lot of these dudes, like I said, they're fans of individual fighters and not the sport as a whole. So whenever I put out videos talking about guys like Junto and NUA and stuff like that. A lot of people don't really care to talk about that because it's not Devin Haney, because it's not Gervonta Davis, because it's not Shakur Stevenson. You know what I'm saying? So if it's not like the usual names like Ryan Garcia, if it ain't any of them, they don't really care to talk about it. That's something that I'm noticing. And that's why, for real, like, of course, I'll, speak on these topics while I'm on live talking to the nation and shit like that. But I don't really even go out of my way to make videos about it no more because it doesn't really attract any views. Not on this small platform. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I was like, that type of shit, I just keep to myself. I don't even take the time to even make videos about it because they won't generate any views. is being talked about in the Ring magazine. I mean, I would hope so. I would hope that the Bible of boxing will be speaking about one of the most meaningful fights made this year. I mean, you got two of Japan's top fighters going up against each other, and they putting it all on the line, man. There's a lot of pressure behind both of these guys for Junto and Naoya Inoue. Junto because he was the one who was basically in Naoya Inoue's shadow. He was doing some great shit, but everybody is looking up to Naoya Inoue, seeing what he's doing, see how he's been dominating in each and every weight class that he's been in. You know, becoming undisputed champion multiple times. You know, things like that, and he wants that crown. He wants that recognition. He wants to be the first one to dethrone Naoya Inoue because he understands that if he beats him, he becomes the man. Naoya Inoue, who's already the man, in my opinion, in Japan, is looking to maintain that status. And one of the worst things that Naoya Inoue could experience is losing to a fellow Japanese fighter and ultimately losing his crown and put himself in a position where he has no other choice but to pass over the torch. So both of these guys are going to train extremely hard for the fight. You know what I mean? They're going to come into this fight as close to 100% as possible. And it's going to take a lot for somebody in that ring to just check out or just acknowledge that the other guy's, you know, winning or the other guy's the better fighter. Like, these guys are going to go absolutely insane in this fight. And I'm looking forward to seeing who's the better fighter, man. I can see Junto having success, you know, as long as he's keeping – you know, Naoya Inoue outside. I think that the longer he keeps this fight outside, to be honest with you, just the fight overall, whoever is able to, you know, control the distance of the fight is going to be the successor. I think whoever is able to, you know, like I said, control the distance, you know what I mean, and pretty much dictate where the fight is going to, what dictate whatever range the fight is going to be at. That's who I think is going to be the most successful. I think if Junto, you know, keeps them straight shots on Naoya Inoue, you know what I mean, keeps that range, and whenever Inoue tries to close the gap, he's firing off, you know, them straight left hands, you know, those combinations that have bad intentions on him. If he's able to do that and just turn Naoya Inoue, he can outbox him and probably even hurt him if he catches him on at the end of one of those, you know, sharp left hands. You know what I'm saying? But if Naoya Inoue, with his in and out movement, his explosiveness, his athleticism, is able to close that gap against Junto and, you know, make this an inside fight where, you know, he's pretty much bullying him on the inside, he could beat up Junto Nakatani, man. So I think whoever is successfully able to control the range in this fight is going to come out successful. That's what I think it's going to come down to. You got one that's very successful, or at least very dangerous from the outside. You got somebody who's a great mid-range, close-range type of fighter. Junto, you can tell he's not the most comfortable when he's at, you know, when he's in close range. You know what I mean? Nakatani, he's not as rangy. I mean, Naoya Inoue, he's not as rangy. He's not as tall as Junto. So, you know, it'll be very dangerous for him to be outside, be on the outside. That could get him picked off. But for my boy Slime saying that it's a real 50-50 fight, I agree. It's definitely a 50-50 fight. Both are very capable of beating each other, but it's going to come down to who is dictating the range, who is controlling the range of the fight. You feel what I'm saying? So really, really looking forward to that fight, man. I'm definitely going to be up bright and early to watch that fight. I'm already looking forward to the weekend just off of the strength of that. Of course, I'm very excited for David Benavidez versus Gilberto Ramirez as well. That's a slept-on banger. If David Benavidez pulls this off against Zordo, stop Zordo, whatever the case is, in his first fight at cruiserweight, that's going to be a three-time. That's a 3-division world champion, and unifying in your first fight at cruiserweight is very impressive, man. And Benavidez will move up that pound for pound list if he's able to pull that off. You know what I'm saying? Eduardo Alvarez said he got Zordo. It's some question marks around David Benavidez. You know what I'm saying? Because for one, you moving up into a weight class that, you know, may be too much for you. You know what I'm saying? Because these guys are bigger. You know what I mean? David Benavidez has been getting away with being the bigger guy in a lot of his fights, especially at super middleweight. You know what I mean? His pressure, his size, pause, his work rate, his hand speed, his conditioning has been he's been able to outlast all of these guys at 68, beat them up, stop them, whatever the case is. At 175, those dudes were a little bit bigger, but Benavidez is big enough to, hold his own at 75. But you can tell he's feeling their punches just a little bit more. Like their punches, these are bigger, stronger guys, and they boiling down from 200 plus pounds to make the weight. You know what I'm saying? So these dudes their punch resistance is better. You know what I mean? Their punching power is better. These guys are the same size as Benavidez, if not bigger. Now you're going up into cruiserweight where these guys are boiling down from 220, 230, whatever the case is, like legit heavyweights that's boiling down to cruiserweight that has some sort of advantage, right? David Benavidez, he's somebody who, when he was a young bull, weighed 240 pounds. So weight is not really an issue for him. However, you basically in there with small heavyweights who, you have even greater punch resistance than the light heavyweights. They're bigger than the light heavyweights, and they are a lot, and they are stronger than the light heavyweights, for the most part. Because Better Beef is a generational puncher, in my opinion, but you get it. Typically, the bigger you are, the harder you punch, the better you are, the more likely you are to take a bigger shot. You know what I'm saying? And, these guys are going to rehydrate pretty well into the 200s. They're going to be heavyweights on the night of the fight. And I'm sure David Benavidez is going to be too, but where's his punch resistance going to be at? Since he doesn't have to train as hard to get the weight off, what's his conditioning going to be like? What's his hand speed going to be like with the additional weight? It's a lot of questions around David Benavidez, and these are the same questions I asked about Terrence Crawford in the lead up to the Canelo Alvarez fight. Canelo Alvarez was able to reassure us in his performance with Canelo that, none of those factors, phased him or affected him negatively or anything like that. He showed it. He proved David Benavidez is capable of doing the same thing. And I think what helps David Benavidez in this situation as well is that Gilberto Ramirez moved up the cruiser. He wasn't just like this bona fide cruiserweight. He came from 168 pounds, just like David. Mind you, he's been at cruiserweight longer. Obviously, he's more acclimated to the weight. But it's not like this dude was just, always, this big, strong guy from the very beginning. He came from super middleweight and was champion there, just like Benavidez was. So, you know what I mean? They went through the same things. It's just that Gilberto got the cruiserweight before David. So it's not like, there may be a possibility that it might actually be an even fight. You know what I mean? Benavidez, coming from super middleweight, Gilberto coming from super middleweight. You know what I mean? Gilberto looks a little bit bigger than David, but David is a good size cruiserweight, light heavyweight, super middleweight. You know what I mean? So I think he'll be fine in the fight. I think that he can outwork Gilberto. I think he got a lot more dog in him than Gilberto. Not saying that Gilberto ain't a dog, but Benavidez, he just got a different type of fighting spirit, in my opinion. The hand speed, the combinations, his relentlessness. I think that's going to really play a part in this fight with, Gilberto Ramirez. But if David Benavidez is irresponsible, gets a little reckless in there, Gilberto might hit him with a shot he don't like. And, he hasn't been hit by these bigger, stronger guys just yet. So we don't know how he's going to take the punches. It's all good when you throwing these punches, but it's different when them shots is coming back. And they got a little bit more pop on them than, light heavyweights and super middleweights. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what goes on with that fight right there. But David Benavidez is one of my favorite fighters actively in the sport of boxing today. And I'm rooting for him 1,000%. I want to see him do well because he has been fucked over by the politics of boxing on many occasions. And I would just like to see that dude get his shine, you know what I mean? Have his own accolades, build his own legacy. You know what I mean? Because I think it is time that he moves past that whole Canelo Alvarez situation. And it's time to show the world that with or without Canelo Alvarez, I, being David Benavidez, I'm still going to go on to do great shit. You know what I'm saying? Josue Hernandez said Resendiz versus Munguia is a good ass Kona main event for that Zordo Benavidez card. Absolutely, that's definitely going to be a banger. That's going to be very exciting to see, man. Armando Resendiz is coming off of the biggest win of his career against Caleb Plant. Jaime Munguia. I think the last time we heard from him was when was the last time Jaime Munguia fought? Was it when he avenged his loss against Bruno Sarase? Possibly. But regardless, you know what I mean, Jaime Munguia, he's been on everybody's shit list, at least mine, since popping positive for performance enhancement drugs. They let that shit fall under the radar, whatever the case is, man. Armando Resendiz was a middleweight at one point in time, but obviously with his power, with his conditioning and stuff like that, he's been able to succeed at super middleweight, beating a top contender and former world champion Caleb Plant in that division. Jaime Munguia is big, he's strong, he lets his hands go. Armando Resendiz does a little bit of the same. Actually, not a little bit. He does a lot of the same things. He's just a smaller guy. So this is definitely going to be a shootout, man. I think this fight between Jaime Munguia and Armando Resendiz is going to come down to durability because both of these guys are going to have to showcase their ability to take a shot in this fight. And whoever is unfazed by the other's power is more than likely going to have, the more success. You know what I mean? But Jaime Munguia, his chin can get tapped. He can get stopped. Armando Resendiz has been stopped. So, it's not a foregone conclusion that either one of these guys can knock each other out. But I'm rooting for Armando Resendiz, obviously, man. Jaime Munguia, I don't really have much respect for him. I don't like how the way he went about that whole situation. It just was so funny that he got knocked out by Bruno Sarase. You know what I mean? And the lead up to, and then a little bit after that, he tests positive for performance enhancement drugs after he beat Bruno Sarase. It's just a lot of suspicious activity behind me. He comes across as a very insecure individual who was looking for some sort of advantage after getting his confidence took by Bruno Sarase in the first fight. So you got to keep your eye on somebody like Jaime, man. Hopefully he's doing some type of drug testing. Hopefully Armando Resendiz is going about things in a safe manner because Jaime Munguia cheated once. So as far as I'm concerned, he'll do it again. So you got to be very careful. This nigga said Resendiz nuts. That's funny. Bro said, nah, remember he got cleared by the WBC, an organization that's very trustful. I'm loving the sarcasm, Ralph. I'm loving to see as Ralph is continuing to be a part of the nation, man, he's really starting to come out of his shell and showcase some real funny, a real funny personality, man. I fuck with Ralph, man. That's my guy right there. That is funny though. Yeah. Love the sarcasm, brother. Everybody knows that, as long as you have the WBC title, I mean, you'll never be found guilty for performance enhancement drugs. They're gonna find you innocent so you could keep paying them. After a thorough investigation, we come to the conclusion that you took the drugs unintentionally. All right, man. We cleared up your fucking name now. We need 100,000 for that. We just saved your career. Give me 100,000 for that, nigga. I don't got 100,000. How much you got? How much you got? Give me 50. Give me 50. You know what I mean? That's how the WBC moving. All right, man. We're gonna find you not guilty, man. But I mean, you're gonna have to throw a little bone our way. You know what I mean? All right, yo, we'll find you. We'll find you, innocent of using performance enhancement drugs, but you gotta look out for us. My boy Tricks in the building said Jesse Hart says Zordo is the biggest puncher he's been in the ring with. Zordo, I think, has a bit more power than David. Yeah, David's never been like this big power puncher though. Like David, with his speed and his combinations, his relentlessness, his aggression, he's able to break guys down through accumulation. Gilberto, I've seen him fold motherfuckers with body shots. Hurt guys with single shots. So Zordo definitely got punching power, but if David Benavidez isn't sluggish in the ring and he looks like himself, David Benavidez has underrated defense, man. He catches a lot of shots on the high guard effectively, in my opinion. He even got a bit of head movement, man. You know what I mean? I was watching his Alexander Volsdik fight, about a month or so ago, and I'm seeing Volsdik throw punches, and none of them are landing clean on David. I mean, he's slipping from side to side. He got good timing on his head movement. He's catching shots with the high guard, and they're not, really getting through. You know what I'm saying? So David, he doesn't have the best footwork. I mean, I think that's his weakest area, to be honest. But because I see him like crossing his feet and shit like that and bringing his feet too close together, which is, why Benavidez has had balance issues in the past. Um, but besides all of that, man, he has he has some dimensions to his game when it comes to his defense, and he's one of the most offensively creative fighters in the sport of boxing as well. One of the best offensive fighters in the sport today. So Gilberto's gonna have an issue with that. I really do think he's gonna have an issue with that. But I see a lot of people counting Zordo out. I wouldn't necessarily do that. I think Benavidez has everything it takes to beat him, but Zordo is definitely game. Definitely game. Like probably 55-45 Benavidez way. And those are two close percentages right there. You know what I mean? So there's that. So, man, I wanted to get into this news because we've been waiting to hear about this news for a very long time. I told y'all when Anthony Joshua came back off of defeating, Jake Paul, I said the fight to be made for Anthony Joshua before he hangs up the gloves is Tyson Fury. I said the same thing for Tyson Fury. You know what I mean? When he announced his comeback for the fourth time, because he retired like 80 times. So, upon his comeback, he said he was coming back into the ring and that he wanted Alexander Usyk. I said that's not something I really care to see. The only fight that I want to see from Tyson Fury, the only fight that I want to see out of Anthony Joshua moving forward is a fight with each other. I think it's a huge fight for the UK. I think it makes a shit ton of sense. And, if it makes sense in boxing, then, more than likely they're going to make it happen. So Turkey Al-Sheikh, Ring Magazine, they all come out with this announcement today. It says that the deal is done. Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua in the fourth quarter of 2026. So as far as I'm concerned, that's between September and December when that fight will be made. It's going to be showcased on Netflix, which is a really big platform to be on. I'm happy that they got that exposure, that they're getting this attention surrounded around them because they deserve it, man. I ain't gonna lie. Like, these are two of the biggest heavyweight, talents out of the UK of this era. You know what I'm saying? So to see them fight each other, you know what I mean, and possibly ride off into the sunset on some Amir Khan and Kell Brook shit, it's dope. Now, I wish this fight would have happened, years back when they both had more in the tank and, were actual champions and stuff like that. But both of these guys are no longer champions. They coming off of losses recently. And they got something left in the tank, but not nearly as much as they did, in the 2017, 2018, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Both of these guys got big wins under their belt. They share a common opponent of it's in Vladimir Klitschko. They're both able to beat them. Tyson Fury was the one who was able to end the Klitschko era. Tyson Fury boxed the shit out of Vladimir Klitschko. And then Anthony Joshua just put the nail in the coffin and stopping Vladimir Klitschko. I don't think he's fought since getting stopped by Anthony Joshua. And that was a fight where Anthony Joshua got knocked down in. It was an incredible fight, man. It had a crazy ending. So now they're facing each other. I don't know exactly where this fight will take place at in the UK, but this surely has to be a UK fight. There's no other place. I don't want to see this in Riyadh. I don't want to see this anywhere. I don't want to see this in the US. This needs to be in the UK, man. You know what I'm saying? Jerron won the bet, and it says Anthony needs a tune-up. Well, according to, what they've been saying out here in these streets, man, Anthony Joshua is going to be actually having a tune-up opponent with Kristian Prenga or something like that. Kristian Prenga is going to be the one that Anthony Joshua faces in his comeback fight. You know what I'm saying? Now, who is Kristian Prenga? I actually put out a video early today to discuss exactly who he is. From what I understand, he is a 6'5" Albanian heavyweight boxer that has a record of 20-1. All of his wins come by knockout. All of his wins come by knockout. 20 wins, 20 KOs. He has one loss. It was early on in his career when I believe he was like 4-0, 5-0. And he had actually lost to somebody who had a losing record. They were literally like 1-2. So not many notable names. Didn't really see too many notable names at all on his resume. I see that he trains in the States. I believe he lives out in Edgewater, New Jersey. But the number 2 ranked Albanian heavyweight in boxing, according to BoxRec. So he's a solid guy. Really don't know too much about him outside of that. I seen that he fought Joey DeWaco, who's a Philadelphia heavyweight, that basically done fought everybody. I'm gonna have to study that fight to get an idea for who he is. But Anthony Joshua is going up against him. Anthony Joshua definitely should be successful in that fight. I think they chose that guy for a reason because he has a solid record, but doesn't seem to be too much of a threat, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, at the same time, this is heavyweight boxing, and Kristian Prenga has a high knockout ratio. Although he didn't knock out anybody notable, to knock out 20 people is not an easy thing to do. So Anthony Joshua definitely got to be on his P's and Q's in this fight. He want to make sure that he gets this fight done in the smoothest process possible, man, because you do not want to get knocked out by this dude and ultimately foil your plans and making one of the biggest fights in UK boxing history. That's against Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury already got the job done with Makhmudov. You know what I mean? He outboxed him, outclassed him, just showed that he was on a different level, much more intelligent fighter. Makhmudov didn't really have any solutions. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. Looking forward to seeing these guys fight in the fourth quarter of 2026, and I'm gonna be rooting for Anthony Joshua. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I want to see Anthony Joshua do some great shit. Obviously he's coming off of some traumatic situations. Out in Nigeria. If you know, he lost two of his friends in a fatal car accident. He seemed to come out of that situation unscathed. The way that Anthony Joshua has been able to deal with this, still be in the public eye, you know what I mean? Still be having a smile on his face and surrounding himself with good people like Alexander Usyk and his team out of Valencia. It's very impressive, bro. I'm not going to lie, man. Like, there's some people that probably would have attempted to disappear from the world after experiencing something like that. You know what I mean? But Anthony Joshua, although I've had my criticisms about him in the past, it takes a certain type of man. It takes a certain type of strength to go, to experience what he did and still be out here moving as if nothing happened. And I'm sure, he feels the effect of that traumatizing situation just about every day. But, he carries it in a very strong way where you can't even tell that he even experienced something like that. Always smiling, always seems to be positive, and, he hasn't given up on the sport of boxing. So, much credit to him, much respect to him. I told y'all as soon as he defeated, Jake Paul, that Anthony Joshua is my guy. You know what I mean? Like, that's my guy. I don't respect some of the things and how the way he moved in the past and stuff like that. I don't even like what he just did recently, and this was really Eddie Hearn. It wasn't AJ, but Eddie Hearn was like, oh, we want a warm-up fight, you know what I'm saying? Before Tyson Fury wanted to be Deontay Wilder. Oh, he'll spark, Deontay Wilder in 3 rounds, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It sound good. It sound good. You feel me? But within a couple weeks of saying that, now you're fighting somebody by the name of Kristian Prenga or something like that. Don't know where the name came from. Don't know what that guy did to deserve a title shot not a title shot, an opportunity against Anthony Joshua, but he got it. We may not look at Prenga, as being somebody who's on Anthony Joshua's level, but this is the heavyweight division. You know what I mean? And when one of those big shots lands and them 10-ounce gloves, could be curtains. So Anthony Joshua better be on point. You know what I mean? Anthony Joshua better be on point, because if that big dude, because there's not much of a size difference between the two neither. AJ's about 6'6", Kristian Prenga like 6'5". You know what I mean? He's not as big and muscular as AJ, but he's definitely a huge heavyweight in his own right. And like I said, if all of your wins come by knockout, you definitely thumping in there, man. You definitely thumping in there. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully Anthony Joshua comes out victorious in that fight against Prenga, so we could go ahead and get that Tyson Fury fight at the end of the year. You know what I'm saying? So let's transition on to the next topic, man, because I had some people coming at me in my latest video where I was speaking about, Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney, possibly negotiating for a fight on Netflix and stuff like that. And I made it clear that it was a rumor. I made it more than clear that it was a rumor. And everybody's like, "Oh man, it's fake news, man. Man, why are you talking about this, man?" Bro, for the sake of content, I put out videos, whether it's a rumor, whether it's factual, we speak about it because I get 1,000,001 questions from the nation or just random friends, that I have online, and they be like, "Bro, what do you think about this? Bro, what do you think about this? Bro, let us know what you think about this situation." I fucking turn my phone on, I press record, and I give you guys my opinion on the whole situation. So, to be hearing guys commenting talking about that's fake news, man. You're spreading propaganda. It's like, nigga, shut the fuck up, bro. I heard the same rumor that y'all motherfuckers heard. I made it clear that it was a rumor. I never spoke on it as if it was factual, and I provided my opinion on it for the sake of content. And y'all mad because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a media outlet on YouTube. Like these dudes, bro, I really don't be understanding them. Super weird, to be honest with you. But regardless, they're saying that Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney talks. They're in preliminary talks. This is something that Mike Coppinger put out there. Since that tweet has been, since that report has been made, Shakur Stevenson put out a tweet. And he put out a tweet, not too long ago saying that he's not in talks with anybody. Like that's cap. But here's him doubling down on this whole situation. He says, "I know fans like to get excited and they could play with y'all heads and manipulate y'all easily. But that rumor is capped for the second time. I haven't heard one word about that. I don't know what they're trying to cover up or disguise, but for me and my team, we haven't heard shit. So I don't know where Mike Coppinger is getting this information from. You would think that his sources would be credible considering that he literally has a relationship with Ring Magazine. You know what I'm saying? Like he has a relationship with Ring Magazine. Ring Magazine has done business, aka Turkey El Sheik has done business with Shakur and Devin Haney. You would think like the information he's getting is directly from the source, but Shakur Stevens is letting it be known like these reports are cat. You know what I'm saying? So if he's saying that there's cap and that his team hasn't, gotten any word on any fight or anything like that, what I want to know is where is this information coming from then? If Shakur is adamantly denying that there's any talks between him and Devin Haney, and they keep reporting it as if it's factual, somebody's lying. Somebody's lying. Somebody had went on and said, Shakur had went on and said, hold on. Somebody by the name of Locked In Daily said Devin and Coppage are real cool. That's Team Haney putting that shit out, and that's why Dev or Bill been silent on it. They trying to paint a narrative. Either that or one of your reps have been having combos behind your back without telling you. Them the only two options. He said, Shakur Stevenson replied and said, "My reps don't have combos behind my back." Locked In Daily followed up with only one option left in. So I guess that's the narrative that they pushing. You know what I mean? Since Mike Coppinger and Devin Haney are cool, you know what I'm saying? Mike Coppinger is basically putting out whatever Team Haney and them tell him to put out just to create, some type of narrative that they're pushing for the fight with Shakur. Whatever the case is, what's going on? I really don't know. I'm not too much of a fan of speaking on preliminary talks and stuff like that because preliminary talks are what they are. You know what I mean? It's just the initial conversations. I want to actually see, advanced talks. I want to see, them about to finalize a deal for a fight. I mean, that's the shit that I care to see. I could really care less about preliminary talks. I spoke about it with Boots and Xander when they first was in preliminary talks. But it was only because I had already gotten word that the fight was done. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. I'm at that end this live early. I'm tired than a motherfucker, boy. I ain't gonna lie, I'm super tired. So let's get one last question in before I get up out of here, y'all. I just ain't got the energy to be on for an hour today. My apologies for that. But fortunately, I did put out a short speaking about Xander Zayas, possibly being a weight drain fighter in the lead up to the Jerron Nunes fight. Then I also put out a video talking about AJ and Fury and what my thoughts are on the fight going down in the fourth quarter of 2026. You know what I mean? Also, calling out Turkey Al-Sheikh for being an absolute hypocrite because when he was running around saying that Boots wanted tune-up fights and stuff like that, he said that he don't do tune-up fights. You know what I mean? That he's not a charity and that, you know what I mean, you could, do your tune-up fight, somewhere else. And when you're ready to get the big fights, you can come see him, right? Remember when he said that on the Boxing Voice? And I pointed out that, Turkey Al-Sheikh is full of shit and he's done tune-up fights multiple times on his card. And one of the examples I brought up was Anthony Joshua versus Otto Wallen. Remember that? Now we're getting Anthony Joshua versus Kristian Prenga. Like, what the fuck? Like, Kristian Prenga versus Anthony Joshua? That's a fight that you're highlighting? That's the fight that you're putting money behind? Sir, is that not a charity? Is that not a tune-up fight? Like, come on, dog. Cut it the fuck out, man. Turkey be picking and choosing who you want to do charities for. I mean, you don't fuck with Boots all like that, so he doesn't have access to them type of privileges. But Anthony Joshua, he gonna get them privileges all day out of you, just like anybody else. You have favoritism, it's cool, but I'm just not too fond of motherfuckers acting like they not about something. But then when it comes to a particular fighter, all of a sudden they switch their tune up. Motherfuckers be full of shit. I mean, Turkey, is this not? I mean, you say you only do big fights. Is Kristian Prenga versus Anthony Joshua a big fight? Hell no. Nobody know who the fuck Prenga is. Only name I seen on his resume that I recognize was Joey DeWaco. Shout out to Joey DeWaco. Philadelphia heavyweight dude. That's about it. Can't really tell you nothing else about it. Mercer said, can't wait for Benavidez versus Zordo fight day after my birthday. So your birthday is May 1st. Okay. I think I could have sworn they fight is May 2nd. Yeah, Fury's fight was a tune-up too. Yeah, Makhmadov. What the fuck? Like, seriously? Who the fuck is that? Is that a big fight? Yeah, Turkey definitely be capping. He's full of shit, bro. And I've been saying that since the very beginning. He's like, how dare you disrespect his excellency? I remember somebody commented, I just blocked it, bro. Motherfucker said, how dare you disrespect Turkey Al-Sheikh? He's giving you the biggest fights in boxing. You need to be grateful. I am grateful. But one thing about me is just because a motherfucker do something right don't mean that I'm not going to call out their wrongs. They could, you know what I'm saying? You could do 1,000,001 things right. If you do something wrong that I feel like it's kind of, makes you look like a hypocrite, if something jumps out the page where you're coming across as fraudulent, I'm going to speak on it. Okay, they fight May 9th. I don't know why I was thinking May 2nd. I'm tripping. That's what's up, Marissa. I'm going to make sure May 8th when I go live, just remind me, please, so we can all wish you a happy birthday, Marissa. That's all. To be fair, Anthony Joshua could sell out arenas fighting the ice cream man. I mean, no, he's a big draw in the UK. Like, we know that for a fact. You know what I mean? I never said that he wasn't. And after knocking out Jake Paul, his popularity went up through the roof too. I seen people talking about AJ that never spoke about him previously, especially the women and shit, right? He was going viral all over TikTok after he beat Jake Paul. And, the women were like, oh, obsessed with his looks. I get it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Women going to do what women do. But what I'm trying to say is Turkey says that he makes like the biggest fights, meaning the best fight in the best. Not in terms of, ticket sales and pay-per-view numbers. Turkey don't give a fuck about that. He wants to make the best versus the best. That's what he says he does. He makes great competitive fights. Tyson Fury versus Makhmadov, that's a competitive fight? Absolutely not. Makhmadov been ass. Kristian Prenga versus Anthony Joshua, who the fuck is that? Like, seriously. You know what I mean? But Turkey Al-Sheikh has his favorites, man. Like, you know what I mean? if y'all want to hold his hand or rub on his thigh. You know what I'm saying? Play with his wee wee, whatever the case is. You know what I mean? Like you just not gonna get the benefits. But you know what I mean? If Turkey Al Sheik finds you to be handsome or whatever, he gonna look out for you, man. He likes something about that egghead ass nigga Tyson Fury, and he likes something about big old strong Anthony Joshua. Like that's just what it is. You feel me? Yeah, Tricks, we remember that when he blackballed David for fighting Bivol. Hell yeah, he blocked the shit out of Bivol fighting Benavidez. But had Benavidez fight Anthony Yard on his card. Everybody knew that was a wash off rip. Was that a big fight? Come on, man, cut it the fuck out, man. Like Usyk, he blocked Usyk and Kabiel from rumbling. No, wait, no, I'm sorry. We was trying to see Alexander Usyk versus Joseph Parker. Remember, we was trying to see that. Nah, that wasn't the fight for him. The fight was Usyk versus Moses Atama. Like, huh? And this was before he beat Jermaine Franklin, all that. I think this was like right after he washed Dillian White. If not, it was before that. Bro, nobody's asking for that fight. You know what I mean? Like, Moses Atama's team wasn't even asking for that fight. Like, he's a weirdo, man. I'm trying to tell you, like, Turkey Al Sheik, he not really like this big boxing fan how he claims to be, bro. He's fake, man. Full of shit. I appreciate what he's done for the sport, the big fights he's given us. I mean, a lot of these fights probably wouldn't have been made without his assistance. I get it. Without him putting the bread up, a lot of these fights we would have never seen. I get it. But, I mean, he's a hypocrite. I don't really like how he be moving sometimes. You know what I mean? He's made some great fights, but he's also, you know, he's also blocked a lot of fights from happening. Why couldn't he make Benavidez versus Canelo? If he got all this money, if he's his excellency, and he's the motherfucking savior of boxing, he's gonna be one to save the sport of boxing. Why he can't make these big fights? He worked to get Crawford that fight, not Benavidez. He don't fuck with Benavidez like that. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna get up out of here, man. I appreciate everybody that came through and show love as always. If y'all could go ahead and hit the like button on the way out, that'd be very much appreciated. I'm gonna go catch up on some rest, man. I got the day off tomorrow, so be on the lookout for some content. You know what I mean? Until then, I appreciate everybody that came through and show love. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. You know what I mean? We really close to that 3,500 mark. Let me actually see where we at right now. Let's see where we at right now. We're actually 6 subs away. We actually 6 subs away from that 3,500 mark. Man, the channel is growing each and every day, and I'm extremely appreciative. I'm very thankful for everything that you guys have done to, get the channel to where it is today. You know what I'm saying? But go check out the videos in the meantime where I'm talking about AJ versus Tyson Fury. Go check out the short where I'm talking about, the weight cut warning for Xander Zayas. Please go hit the like. Go hit the, you know what I mean? Hit the bell notification so you'll know every time I'm going live. You know what I mean? All that good stuff, man. Until then, I hope you guys have a blessed, beautiful one. I'm up out of here, man. Peace.